Ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely happy to be sharing this presentation with you. It's been a part of an Elevate conference organized by Academy of Diversity and Innovation, also co-organized by Theatre Polska, WRO Open Up, and many other very interesting and noble partners. I've been one of the speakers in this conference, and here in this little recording, I want to share with you the most important content from my presentation, which I did live in the conference session. I am Monika Chutnik. I am working as an international consultant, helping international leaders be successful in managing their international teams, building new connections, and cooperating successfully across cultures. My presentation is also dedicated to this specific area. I want to share a few from my experiences as a consultant personally, but also from some experiences made by the company that I'm a part of, whose name is ETTA Go Global. So let me share the slides with you. And I hope that you will enjoy this little insight into what actually are the challenges faced by leaders who used to work locally and now are just about to start working internationally, or maybe they have already been a part of large international projects. Okay. I hope that you can see the slides. Strategic positioning in global organizations is really about how to make sure that your position as a manager or as a person representing a certain organizational unit in a larger company is strong, is resourceful, and can also be profitable for you and your organization. The question is how really to do this when you start collaborating internationally. As I mentioned, I do these projects as a part of ETTA, Go Global. Working across cultures is one of the major domains of our interest, just like working with leaders, working online and developing the skills of the future. We usually work with large international organizations and we support their people, their teams, their managers in helping the company be successful on a global scale, but also very interestingly with a local impact as well. Sorry about that. I'm not able to change the slide. Oh, okay. There it is. It just froze for a moment. Here in particular, I want to present just two aspects of working across cultures, which I thought might be interesting, especially for fellow interculturalists, people who are quite interested into making it happen globally. And one of them is about speaking up, about making your point heard. So let me present you a little case study from our experience. This time it's about an automotive company based in Italy. The headquarters is based in Italy, where we've been supporting the team, the leadership team based in Poland. This leadership in particular was running quite a big factory producing elements for the automotive industry. The company was undergoing a huge transformational process, as you've been maybe observing. The automotive industry is highly competitive now. The cost cutting plays a major role. And at the moment when we were called in to support the business, many people were laid off from Polish white collars. 40% of the staff white collar staff actually have been dismissed. So you can imagine how much workload, but also stress and uncertainty was left on the shoulders of those who remained. They might have felt like winners. Yes, we remained, but the atmosphere, the emotional level was actually very low. The people were very tired and very worried about the future. We were invited to run a change management workshop that would be supporting the local side in following or even being ahead of the company's change strategy. And it was precisely at a moment when there was a lot of uncertainty about the company's plans. The people have just experienced major layoffs. They have been getting messages about the uncertainty of the automotive industry in Europe in general. They have been observing the situation in the headquarters and had a lot of questions open. So you can imagine what an opportunity it was that during the program, we actually had an opportunity to get a private session with the company's CEO who dedicated his time to share the vision and the strategy of the company in the upcoming periods. Was it quarters or years? I'm not so sure about it anymore. But anyway, this guy dedicated his time on to run an online session with the leaders of this local site so that they are well aligned, so that they are aware of where the company is going to, so that they are also able to exercise and execute their role as leaders in the local site in line with the direction the company is going to. You can imagine how much uncertainty this presentation was addressing. So at the end of the presentation, when this guy asked, "Are there any questions?" guess what happened? Nothing happened. Okay. No one asked a question. So I was there with a room full of talented leaders, people who were absolutely dedicated to their business. And at the end of the presentation, no one asked a question. So what is that? What impact does it make? Well, certainly after they disconnected from the call, from the online call, the questions started floating like from an open sack of questions. And I was like, okay, so why didn't you ask these questions to the leader? You've just had him on the line, which was the unique opportunity. You might be wondering about the answers. I will be commenting on it in a moment, but you might also be wondering about the impact. So the question is, to what extent are the leaders of this site, let me repeat this again, very dedicated, very talented people, really able to make an impact on a global scale, to really be heard and to really be considered as a noteworthy partner in a conversation if they don't even ask a question, which is explicitly invited in this turbulent time. Before I give you an answer, I actually want to present another case to you. And I will be inviting you to look for the common thread between these two cases. I wonder whether you will be able to identify what might these situations have in common. They might not look similar, but they actually have something deeply underneath, which is making them similar to each other. This time it's about the Japanese technological company, a company with the headquarters in Japan, organized in a way in two major regions. Okay, though there is one region is Japan and the Japanese market, and the other region is the rest of the world. So this time we've been working for the Polish side. There is a Polish shared service center, quite a numerous center in Poland, and it has been so successful in introducing automation and cost cutting that the Japanese headquarters were simply thrilled, and they asked the leaders of the Polish side to run a global transformation, to run the same, to do the same on a global scale. Okay, so the leaders from the Polish team were invited to conduct business transformation on the global scale. Well, what happened during the operation? Well, they certainly started working on running the transformation on a global scale. And is it a surprise that they heard some critical reactions like we are not interested in that, or maybe this is not going to work here, like your solution doesn't apply to us, or even more critical reactions like we don't want that, and quite a major pushback from some sides on the global scale, especially in Europe, yes, and that lasted for a certain number of months. The deadline, which was set, is coming soon, is approaching soon, and the leaders from the Polish side feel frustrated. They also feel ineffective. They don't know how to make the transformation happen. They expected fast results. The results are not here, not as soon as they expected, they imagined, and they feel frustrated. They also feel almost burned out. That's the moment when we were invited to make a little intervention to help them be successful. So might you already imagine what might be the common thread between these two situations? Just have a look at the Polish business culture, the Polish traditional values, and the Polish way of doing business. And please take into consideration the fact that in both of these cases, the people from Poland, from Central Europe, were invited to speak or to make an impact with their part of organizations which are located in the West, the Western Europe. Yes, that's about the approach to hierarchy, the approach to the role of a leader, of a boss. Okay, so actually Poland is perhaps not extreme in power distance. When we cooperate with many countries, for example, from Asia, we are those who are relaxed about structures and approach. But when we cooperate with colleagues from, or with parts of the organization from the Western European cultures, we are usually those that represent the higher power distance culture. Now, what impact does it make? What impact does it have? When we look at the situation of confronting a leader, confronting even with a question, you might be very sensitive when you are in a high power distance culture because you wouldn't like to put your leader in an uncomfortable position if you ask a question that the leader doesn't want to answer, or the question is maybe doesn't fit the leader's train of thoughts. You also wouldn't like to put yourself in the risk of asking a question which is irrelevant or might be perceived in a negative way. So you better ask the colleagues on the same level instead of reaching out and crossing the level of the organization. In other words, there is like an invisible layer of sponge in between the layers of the organizations, which makes it easy to communicate on the level that you are in, but it makes it quite hard to communicate to the levels upwards. On the contrary, when it comes to communicating downwards, a leader in a high power distance culture would be expecting obedience and would be expecting a yes reaction to his orders or to his suggestions. But in a power distance culture, you would even say orders, and you would expect quick results. And this is what played a role in the second scenario of the global transformation. In many lower power distance cultures where the power distance is not a big thing, just a medium thing, the subordinates, the team members, they prefer to have a conversation. They prefer to understand. They like to make a little pushback instead of just going into doing what the leader asks them to do. This is why setting the deadline was a complete misconception. And the sooner the deadline was coming, the more pressure the Polish leadership team was feeling, so that the more pressure they were executing onto the rest of the organization. Unfortunately, this was precisely the counterproductive strategy in this case, because what would have helped, the question is what would have helped, might have been, reaching out to people in a different way, making liaisons, making the other people heard. And what I want to say very clearly is that actually the Polish leadership culture has been undergoing a huge revolution, and the human-centered leadership and the openness to talk to people on various levels, to talk to your team members, to be really inclusive and empathetic to your team members has been progressing a lot. It's a major wave in Poland now, and I think all the leaders of the new generation are doing it. However, those who have reached the level of international exposure are still representing the 40 plus generation, which is a little bit more into the hierarchical thinking. Actually, this might be an advantage in communicating with the higher hierarchy cultures, like the headquarters in Japan, for example. Why does it matter? Um, I actually did present a few more cases in the live presentation, but as this is just a recording, I want to conclude with a little reflection and some hints on what could change, yes, what could make it more successful, how the leaders could make an impact, yes. There is indeed the question about the level of cross-cultural competence, really working across cultures, working successfully, understanding how to behave, how to act, and how to build relationships in the other organism, even if this is the organism of the same company, still there will be this national variety as it seems. The question is, to what extent are you able to understand the other systems, but maybe a step backwards, even to what extent do you imagine, do you have knowledge about what various systems there might be and what they mean in practice? So first of all, is about developing awareness, simply knowledge about cross-cultural diversity. The second step is being able to recognize which system I am in, which system my colleagues are representing, and then the next level is being able to play around. That is what was a major subject of my conversation with the leadership of the Italian headquartered automotive company. We've had a huge conversation about what behavior strategies can really make them successful in communicating with the headquarters, what they consider safe enough, and at the same time, what might be impactful enough to really take the seat at the table. While in our collaboration with the Polish team, Polish leadership team from the Japanese technological company, we needed to grab a little bit deeper. These people already had enough knowledge about working across cultures. At the same time, some deeply rooted perceptions about the power balance between the West and the East of Europe and the um, how should I say that the notions about who tells whom about what to do, okay, and what is my value in this conversation needed to be looked at, and we needed to look to use a much deeper, more impactful way of learning. This time we decided to use the systemic dialogue approach with this particular team. And let me tell you, there was a huge access to emotion, which was really a very strong and difficult emotion with the team now, and also a huge insights into our ways of addressing, into our mental ways of addressing culture and our challenges. Among others, the leadership team members realized that they actually produce a huge part of the pressure themselves. which was really a game changer because as long as you are under pressure, your thinking shrinks. In this stressful environment, as soon as you realize that you can release a little bit pressure and that you have a lot of power to do that in your hands, the cognitive and creating thinking might really open up. Well, there might be more to it. I only showed you a few slides from my slide set, but I think it's not about, showing you all the material. It's more about sharing a few stories that you might find useful in your practice. I hope that they will be useful to you if you are a leader working in an international environment or getting ready for your global success. If you are an HR supporting leaders in being successful and your organization in collaborating internationally, or if you are a business consultant and a trainer just like myself. If you like to get back in touch, let me maybe show you the first slide. There is my WhatsApp number. Please do feel free to connect. I will be very glad to exchange thoughts and ideas on what you felt, what you thought when you were watching this particular presentation. Thanks a lot.